welcome to SocioTech podcast. This is podcast number 8, and today we are very thrilled, and we are joining by.
Well, for those who know in the tech industry, he's the giant of cybersecurity.
And for those who plainly know him by his name as the founder of Safe Security, Mr. Saket Modi.
Well, it's a very proud moment for us LNMIITians to have him here because his startup is the very first startup from our college, which is a unicorn startup. And
we are getting to interview him, so it's kind of a big deal for us as well. And so we are very thrilled to have you here, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us.
So, sir, queuing the question directly to you. Why is cybersecurity?
I want you to call me Saket.
Okay, Saket. Why do you think cybersecurity is so hot right now? Everybody is, kind of getting aware about it and trying to know more and more about it, and it is, climbing up the importance level in, in government channels also. So, why is it so red hot right now?
If you think about the last 3,000 years, 4,000 years of human evolution, humans have done more in the last 50 years in progress in terms of their comfort, in terms of, advancement in technology, in terms of really having an impact on lives of people when it comes to efficiency versus the last 2,000, 3,000 years. All of that change which has occurred in the last 50 years has really been fueled by technology. Very, very famously, Steve Jobs had this very nice analogy that he used to give all the time, where it was more like technology is like the bicycle of the mind. He actually wanted to name the Macintosh the bicycle, believe it or not. Thank God he didn't do that. Or at least the other people didn't allow him to do that in his company. So technology has, at the heart of our society, fundamentally changed how we live, work, play, and learn. But with all of that advancement, the one thing that always comes in, as they say, everything positive has an associated negative. That's the meaning of yin and yang. Exactly. The yin has been digital transformation of our society. The yang is the same technology when you see not only connecting more people on social media, but getting more people depressed because they don't get likes and things around that.
And all.
Not only do we use that for sending emails to increase our work efficiency, but the very technology has become central for the worst of the criminals in the society, and actually them becoming more efficient also. And when you look at the advancements and how big the advancement has become in order to go ahead and have a positive impact on our society, a very natural parallel needs to be drawn. The yang needs to be balanced. And there needs to be the place of cybersecurity. It's the balancing act, what is required. And the first 50 years were crazy mad rush into technology and digitizing any and everything. And with AI, it is only amplifying anything and everything out there. If you think about technology, it is simply an amplifier for both good and for bad. But what is not there are the guardrails which we've placed in the right way. And very clearly we've failed as a society, because every second day when you open the newspaper, when you go through your feed of the largest companies in the world, there's somebody or the other being hacked. There's somebody or the other who's being fraud, there's a fraud which is taking place every few seconds in impacting people because they use technology. And therefore cybersecurity needs to be those guardrails. It needs to be that way of ensuring. It's like that analogy, if you've seen Ford versus Ferrari as a movie, and it's beautiful on what this really amazing line that Christian Bale uses there, that brakes in a car are not to slow the car down. It is to let the car move at a higher speed with greater confidence. That's the real meaning of having a brake, and the right kind of brakes. And that's really what cybersecurity is. In order to truly use technology, digital, in the right way possible, there is a fundamental requirement of having a very, very large focus on the right guardrails. Otherwise, that can go haywire, and that will cause more harm than advantages. And that's the reason why the first 50 years you saw a big wave in terms of digital transformation and digital adoption. And now with AI, it's only becoming bigger and faster. There's a second wave now. And that's the reason why, if you look at the NASDAQ and the stock market in the US, if you look at companies, it's only either the digital and AI companies or cybersecurity companies, which are the only two categories of companies which are doing exceptionally well versus most of the other companies as of now. Yeah.
So, like you defined cybersecurity as a balancing act. So is there a notion of catching up, because we are bombarded with news of getting hacked? Like recently, I guess Aadhaar got hacked and the data was leaked on dark web. So how good is the catching up going on through the eyes of cybersecurity firms?
Adding on that, can we use the AI? The surge of the AI has been really evident right now. How AI can be helpful to even make the efficiency of cybersecurity better. Because as you said, just
like harnessing AI
yes,
to fulfill the balancing, or
like can we take AI go hand in hand with cybersecurity? If it is yes, how we can do so?
So I'll take a step back first and first talk about a little bit about AI.
Okay.
And then we'll talk about an application of AI into cybersecurity. The first point around AI that you need to understand is AI is like electricity. When electricity was invented, every house, every company, every individual, every government changed. Because that's what we are all using right now, right?
Right.
That's how AI is. AI is not a siloed piece of technology. It is like electricity which will power anything.
Which can change the lifestyle.
And
right?
not which can change, which will change anything and everything around you. That is what AI will be. And it's already on the way to become that. So, and I love this saying. Some people were asking this question. I heard this with a professor. They said, will AI replace humans? And he said, humans with AI will replace humans without AI. I love that answer.
That's true.
Right? So if you think about cybersecurity, like any other industry, it has to be impacted by AI. In fact, if you today talk to a cybersecurity company for your internship, for your jobs, which doesn't have AI in its strategy or pitch, stop talking to them. I can tell you they will be irrelevant in the next 3 to 5 years. So AI has to be the foundation. It's almost like you now have electricity invented and people are still using candles to go ahead and light up their houses. It has to be obsolete very, very soon. It's only a matter of time. So AI has to be used. It's a given. The second piece around what you were saying about catch up, unfortunately, that's how most of our reactions have been in inventions. Because whenever something great happens, it's the reaction to that, as we say, every action has an equal and opposite reaction. By design, when the social media was invented, everybody spoke about getting people together, connecting the whole world. That's what the tagline of Facebook was, right? But today we know that there are more depressed people than there were 20 years back. And there are more people on social media than there were 20 years back. There was no social media back then. Now, why is it that when the world is so much more connected, it is still so depressed? And the answer is very simple, that we are now catching up. We are now reacting because we didn't think through the digital advantages in a responsible way. So are we playing catch up? The answer is yes. But with everything new coming up, a lot of secured by design principles are coming up as a first principle and putting things together.
Okay. So, like a question to extrapolate on that, what happens when our data gets hacked? Like we have heard a lot about different institutions getting hacked, our information getting leaked, but what happens to that information? Why is our information so important in this regard? that it is getting attacked so often, and it is like the price of hacking and those things?
You know, the funny thing is that there's a very funny saying. It says beggars are not choosers. What that means in a very simple way is, when I'm a 21-year-old who has 6,000 rupees in my bank and has everything that needs to be told about me publicly facing on Instagram and Facebook, and goes on TikTok every day to say, this is where I'm eating, this is where I'm going, this is how beautiful the food looks like, blah blah blah. It's very difficult to understand, why will I even need privacy? Why will I need? Because what do I have to lose?
What do I have to lose?
And I totally get that, because I was exactly that in 21 years of age. But when you talk about anything of meaning, imagine if, there would be, a big invention that's happening. If there's bank accounts that your dad was actually using to transfer money and pay for your school fee, and he wakes up in the morning and all of that money is lost.
Okay.
Imagine the airplane that you took to come to Jaipur. If that got hacked and the air traffic navigation actually made two planes collide with each other, what would happen then? Imagine the metro that you would board, and that the tracks can be intertwined to make sure that two metros crash with each other. Tell me, what would happen? Would you now care about cybersecurity?
That is a result of massive digitization, that we have digitalized everything.
So it's not just you personally when you're 21 years of age. It's about everything that you look at, the society going digital, and anything that goes wrong, and that becoming a challenge, and
We
therefore
need
you
a
need to
policing,
think
right?
totally. I've actually never thought of it, because, I'm happy to be in the college today, back after almost 9 years, 10 years, whatever that is. And I was happy when I'm not in the college also, right? Because when you're like occupied and you're obsessed with the work that you're doing, with the piano that you're playing, with anything that you like doing, if you're really, really into it, right? You, for almost, like, it might seem inhuman, but you don't miss anything.
Okay.
Think of it like this, right? What do you like doing? Do you like dancing, singing?
I like
what's
reading novels. So
Okay, so when you're reading a novel and you go deep into a book, right?
the
And
location become
you're like in the fantasy land of what the novel is taking to. Lord of the Rings, just read that. So beautiful. You're like, you can't sleep, you can't walk, you can't talk, whether you're sleeping on the station or a bus stop, or you're in the suite of, Taj Mansingh, whatever, right? Either ways, none of that matters. You're so deeply engrossed into it, and you're just in love with what you're doing at that time. I'm saying that is how 10 years of my life have been, every single day.
How do you sustain that kind of obsession? Like, you were talking about reading, and I'm really obsessed with reading and watching content and making kind of those things. Like, I'm really fond of refined art and these things, but that obsession doesn't stick for long. It's like a short interval of time in a day, like 2 hours I could devote to that. But the obsession that you have regarding whatever you were speaking, that whenever I do something, I get engrossed in that. So reaching that level of dedication and concentration for that,
Sir,
is it just fondness for that specific thing, or is it something intrinsically inbuilt in you that, yes, if anything is engaging to me, I would give my 100% to it?
as simple
Apart from
as how you keep the spark alive in you.
Huh. What is keeping your spark alive, like, literally?
If you asked a question to a dead man, how can you come back to life? That would be one kind of question. If you ask the same question to a living human being, how are you living? It seems like an absurd question. Right? If I ask you, how are you living? What do you mean? I'm just
Nobody's
living.
asked me
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, nobody's there. This is how I am. I don't know any other way. But if you ask a dead man, can you wake up? Can you become alive? That's a lot of friction. Almost impossible. Almost, I say that. Some people
Yeah.
still come back, and Lazarus did, right? So the reason I say that is only one, that the question you're asking to me is like you're asking a living man how to live. I don't know any other way.
Okay.
For me, you saying that how do you maintain this is like me looking at a dead person like, how are you not living? I don't understand. Why will you spend, you said, I can do this passion for 2 hours. What are you doing for 22 hours? You're dead for those 22 hours. It's a waste of
Now my
life.
question sounds frugal, sir.
It's a waste of life. Why will you do things which you're not mad in love with for even one tiny second of your life? Why?
That's quite a profound way to see it. We are not programmed to think like that. We are born and fed up with a lot of what you can say parameters.
Crap.
Crap. And
Yeah.
that's going to be a hardwired thing
Yeah.
already
How
inside
did you
mind.
filter it out? Like your question and the kind of answer that you gave me, it's like your thought pattern is so different, or so contrasting to what we are thinking. Like I never thought it like that. That if I'm passionate about something and then just give it 100%
Yeah.
of my time. That is something that we are not, what you can say, raised like that. Mostly in general society, like you guys, people like you are an anomaly, in a sense, for our society. So what do you attribute it to? That this thought process of what you have, concocted in all those your bringing up years, and these things have led to you thinking like that. And why ordinary people are not able to think like that in these regards?
The answer is I don't know. Because to me, this is as absurd as I sound to you. That is the
You are
equal
not
amount
sounding
of
absurd. You are sounding enlightening and.
No, but it's the same thing the other way around. I'm like, why does somebody need to come and tell you that do what you're passionate about 24 hours a day? Isn't that supposed to be obvious? Isn't that supposed to be the
It's-
most
now that
obvious
you are
thing? Which
iterating
is,
it, it's supposed to be obvious, but there's what you can say as a kind of hold that we all are placing on ourselves due to what we have been, learning, or we have been gathering from all our life. So
Majority, I feel like we have been born and brought up in a sense that we are guided by our fears. Majority, like even if we have passion for something, like I want to code something, I want to build an app, the fear of that, if I won't be studying, I won't get marks. If I won't be studying, I won't be getting a job. Like that kind of a
filtering all
fear.
these societal norms out, and then contributing everything to what you feel is your calling. That is something, that is the kind of barrier everyone in one's life deals upon once in their lifetime, and you have catapulted yourself away from that question in a completely different trajectory. That is what we are trying to look into.
but now that you've got this, and you just got that realization, my only question to you guys is, will you now change?
Surely, I'm going to change my life. the moment when you were giving us this talk in the LT, the moment when you talked about that, why are you being ruled over your fears? That moment I realized that I should change. Being guided by fears, the whole life I have been guided by my fears. I studied because my parents were over me. Now I'm in my college, I'm studying because I won't get a job. But the moment you said that, if you're a college student who is just 21 and working your life for 20 lakh jobs, isn't it like wasting your life? And it was a sudden hit that yes, actually I was wasting my life. If I can work on something, like I have people around me who are doing something great shit in my life, then why can't I? I'm as normal as they are.
No, it's the other way around. You are an absolute rock star.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Which is a fact. All that holds you back is becoming the best at whatever you want to become.
Yeah,
Why will
exactly.
you not? So instead of thinking about anything else, whether it's a job, even in your job, there's no problem in going to a job,
Mm.
but not becoming the absolute best at what you do is the problem, right?
Yeah.
You can do an entrepreneurship, you can do your masters, you can do whatever you want, but the thirst of not being the absolute, absolute best. And today, you just need a cell phone and YouTube.com.
Exactly.
That is all you need to become the best in the world. This was not possible 10 years back, 20 years back.
Yeah.
Generations, I'm talking about 5,000 years of humanity, never had this access that you guys have.
The whole knowledge is compressed into a few
Just-
hours of videos
just,
and
just,
lectures.
Just on your phone.
Yeah, totally.
So that's my only point, that in my mind, this question about how am I different, I don't know. What I don't understand is how is everybody else so different? It just doesn't add up. And why would you not do what you are passionate about 24 hours? And when you're passionate about doing what you are doing 24 hours, suddenly, by default, by design, you become the best in your field. It's a given, it's a byproduct, which automatically happens. And you're not doing that to become the best. You're doing it because you want to go deeper and deeper and deeper in any subject. You want to be a swimming champion, doesn't matter. Go so deep, become Michael Phelps. How is that? Make sure you're in the swimming pool 20 hours a day. 20 hours a day.
Make it your
Nothing less.
lifestyle.
Yeah. Try sleeping in the swimming pool also.
Yeah.
You know you can do that.
Yeah. Hope you don't find us dead tomorrow. Just a joke.
Yeah.
You know, like we were talking about fears and the inhibitors. Is there some kind of fear for you that yes, this is what I'm afraid of, like, because fears are what like failure is one of our biggest fears. And you were talking about like I have failed a lot of times, then I have reached in my journey here. So like a double down question: what are your fears, and what would you call is your biggest failure?
You know, there's a very famous story. I like this. This was from a Zen monk, Lao Tzu. He comes out one day and he tells all his disciples that I have decided that nobody on the planet can ever defeat me after today in anything that I do. Everybody feel puzzled. Like, what do you mean that nobody can defeat you in anything that you do? And remember, this guy is enlightened and he's like, he really knows his shit, what he's talking about, right? So everybody's puzzled. How can you even say that? In everything. He said, yes, nobody can ever defeat me in anything that I do. How is that possible, Master? I said, that's because I accept my defeat. How can you defeat me if I've already accepted my defeat? I'm not competing. I accept my defeat. I am now already defeated. I'm not in the competition.
But then what drives you?
And that's the question, which is the reason I was talking about being ambitious. What drives me is the excitement of the problem I'm solving. What
Not the
drives
result I'll
me,
achieve.
who cares about the result? That is the reason I accept defeat. You said failure. What is the scare of failure? Scare of failure comes in when you're doing something for the outcome.
Mm.
Only then you're worried about whether the outcome will succeed or fail. I'm saying if you like reading, the joy of reading, whether you'll read 50 books a week or 5 big books a week, should not be the objective.
Mm.
I like saying this when I recommend people books. Don't read books, drink the book. How can you drink the book and become one with the book?
When you get lost inside it.
Yeah. And I'm saying when you get lost inside that book which you're reading, right, that is joy enough. That if tomorrow you are dead, you have no problems. You experienced a very different world that unfortunately 99.9% people on the planet will die without experiencing. Even if you experienced it for 1 hour, doesn't matter. That's enough. How does it matter what the outcome was? Whether you read 5 books or 5,000 books. There are some people who read books to show off numbers.
Mm.
Jackasses, right? Which are out there.
Quite apt in what you can say.
We can say that we should focus more on the vast pool of experiences instead of the outcomes.
Everything is experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Even outcome is an experience. Could it be ecstasy?
And that's the reason why I don't have a problem with what the outcome comes to, right? If Forbes puts me on the cover, I don't have a problem with that. I don't run away from that. But if Forbes doesn't put me on the cover, I don't feel disappointed.
That's quite a very efficient way of looking at it,
Yeah, like,
accepting as it is.
Yeah,
the point of view is changing.
it's very simple. You wanna deal with the world the way it is, not the way you wish it was. And you're doing your best in really deep diving into the problem statement you're solving, or whatever you love doing. In that process, right? If there's somebody who makes you the king, you don't feel egoistic. On the process, if somebody thrashes you and makes you a beggar, you don't feel bad about that also. So the point I'm trying to make is both of these are correlated to each other. And that's where the fear of success or failure comes into the picture. I'm saying, why worry about success and failure? Because then you were doing the thing for the wrong reasons.
That's a lot to take in. You are actually trying to bend the way we think. That is something really.
I'm not trying to bend the way you think. I'm trying to crush the way you think.
Exactly, like a new point of view. A new point of view, but totally I can assimilate it. Like it's just new thing to focus on.
Can you recommend some books which can crush the way I think?
There's a long list, right? Start noting it down.
We are recording it. We are recording it.
So I'll tell you what, don't go with books. Go with the author of the book. The book is always a very tiny piece of the book, of the author. What I care about is the author. I spend 6 to 12 months every year, so I keep flipping that, to read about the life of somebody.
That is something actually I also do. I'm now studying everything that Eliot Tolstoy wrote in different timescapes that he wrote. So
that's still fiction. Now, I don't get excited by fiction.
Okay.
I like reading about the lives of what I call as cool dudes.
Rockstars.
Cool dudes, rock stars, same thing, right? So everything, right? Starting from, study the lives of every single person who you look up to. You don't even need me for the answer. You know your own answer. Who are the people who you look up to? Give me 3 names.
I really look up to Eliot Tolstoy,
Okay.
first of all. Then I would be reading Ratan Tata, everything that he wrote. And then APJ Abdul Kalam.
Okay.
Because
Don't just read what they wrote, read about their life. APJ Abdul Kalam was one of the most genius,
finest
most
minded.
disciplined, one of the most beautiful human beings that has walked this planet. He's just such a special man, right? Read everything about their lives. I read last year for 9 months almost, and this is still not enough, but I had to move to the other person, the Prophet Muhammad. I would read Kabir at some point. I would read, I would read Jesus Christ. I would read Michael Jordan. I would read Tiger Woods. I would read whoever is the epitome of their own spaces. Read about them. Watch every documentary made about them. Watch every YouTube interview about them. Everything that you would talk about.
Drink their life.
Drink their life. And what you don't realize is the moment you start doing that, and then you look around with everybody, and like, oh shit, they don't get it. Everybody doesn't get it.
Exactly.
And they all got it. As Steve Jobs used to say, that is the reason he used to say, here's to the misfits, the rebels, the round pegs in the square, the square pegs in the round holes, right? This is the meaning. What you're just saying, Saket, you don't fit the mold. I am a tiny piece of being a rock star than these 1 zillion time bigger rock stars that I just gave you the list of. And the list is much longer. So read about their lives, right? I'm a speck, a tiny dust particle in front of them. And when you read about not 1, not 2, not 3, not 10, 20, 30, 40 of these people, you're like, shit, they all have the same pattern. They all don't follow the rules. They all are pirates, not Navy officers. Literally. And you just change the way you think
The
about it.
material is the same, just what you can say. Sancha दूसरा है, इसलिए मूर्ति दूसरी दिखती है, पर material is the same.
I agree with you, sir. The first principles are the same.
Okay, so I think that's where we'll end the talk. This was CML Media Podcast with Mr. Saket Modi. He is our alumni. and we'll be back with more content. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank
much.